Good morning everyone. So today we are going to discuss about memory. What is memory? Two, three definitions on memory. The memory process or the stages, that is the encoding, storage and retrieval, and the memory systems or memory types, that is the sensory memory, short-term memory and the long-term memory. So we'll be discussing on these topics today. So now let's start with what is memory. Memory is the term given to the structures and processes involved in the acquiring, storing, retaining, and later retrieving information. And here are two definitions given. Memory is the process of maintaining information over time, given by Maclean in 2005. Next definition is memory is the means by which we draw on our past experiences in order to use this information in the present, given by Sternberg 1999. So basically, memory is a mental ability or a mental process of how we receive information from the environment through our senses, how those informations get stored in our memory system, that is in the short-term memory and long-term memory, and how those informations are recalled or retrieved by us at the time of need. Our memory is divided into three stages or three processes, that is the encoding, storage and retrieval. So encoding is the first stage of memory in which information is recorded and registered for the first time in order to be used by memory system. So we are always exploring our environment, and when we explore our environment, our senses are always receiving some kind of external stimuli or information. And whenever an external stimulus impinges on our sensory organs, it generates neural impulses which are received in different areas of our brain. So basically, encoding is receiving the information and giving it a meaning and represent it in a way that it can be processed further. Then comes the second stage, that is the storage. So every information that is encoded must also be stored so that it can be put to use later. So storage is the second stage of memory in which the encoded information is stored and retained over a period of time. And the last stage is the retrieval. So retrieval is the third stage of memory, and it refers to the bringing the stored information into awareness in order to be able to perform the cognitive task. So information can only be used, or we can only use the information that is encoded and stored when one is able to recover it from his or her memory. We won't be able to use the information stored if we are not capable of recalling it or retrieving it at the time of need. So retrieval is the third stage, and it is bringing the encoded and stored information into our conscious awareness. So these are the three stages of memory. Then comes our memory systems or memory types. According to the stage model proposed by Atkinson and Shiffrin in 1968, there are three memory systems. They are the sensory memory, the short-term memory, and the long-term memory. So sensory memory, it is a memory system that registers information from each of the senses with reasonable accuracy. Often this system is referred to as sensory memories or sensory registers because information from all the senses are registered here as exact replica of the stimulus. So when we are in the environment, all the incoming information that we receive through our senses gets into the sensory memory. And this sensory memory has a very large capacity, that is, it can hold a lot of information at the same time, but the duration that sensory memory can hold a information is very less, that is less than a second. And the next is the short-term memory, that is the second memory store. So every information that is received through our senses enters the sensory memory, but we do not attend to all the information that impinges on our senses. We only attend to some of those information, and the information that is attended to enters the short-term memory. So in short-term memory, the capacity is 7 plus minus 2, that is 5 to 9, and it holds information for a very brief period of time, that is usually 30 seconds or less. So the duration of short-term memory to hold any information is less than 30 seconds. But in short-term memory, it is possible to hold information for a longer period of time through some control processes that includes the maintenance rehearsal. So by maintaining the information or rehearsing the information over and over again, we can expand the time period of the information. And then the limit capacity, that is 7 plus minus 2, can also be expanded in the short-term memory by a method called the chunking method. That is, it is said that the short-term memory has the capacity to hold information from 5 to 9 items. But let's consider an example, like a phone number consists of 10 items, that is 10 numbers. But how we can store that information for a longer period of time, or how we can memorize that number for a longer period of time, that is through the chunking method. That is, the chunking method is dividing the information or dividing the number into parts so that it comes under the capacity of the short-term memory. That is, to remember a phone number, we can divide the number into three halves, that is 444, or we can divide the number into two halves, that is 5 and 5, so that it becomes possible to store that information for a longer period of time. Then the information that is stored in the short-term memory gets delivered into the long-term memory through a process known as elaborative rehearsal. So the third system is the long-term memory. The informations or the materials that survive the capacity and duration limitations of the short-term memory finally enters the long-term memory. That is, the information from the short-term memory enters the long-term memory through a process called the elaborative rehearsals. In elaborative rehearsals, an attempt is made to connect the to be retained informations to the already existing information in the long-term memory. For example, if we are given a task to remember the word humanity, it will be much easier if the meanings of the concepts such as compassion, truth, benevolence are already in place. That is, if we already know such words related to humanity, it will be much easier for us to store the informations or to catch the word humanity. In long-term memory, the capacity of the long-term memory is very vast, and the time duration can be like we can hold information in long-term memory for days, weeks, months, years, or for lifetime. There is no time limit, and the capacity is very fast. That is, there we can store any kind of information or any length of information for our lifetime or for days, years, or months. So this is all for today. Thank you so much, everyone.